Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I'm really happy because this book is a fabulous piece of work, an incredible piece of work in some ways. And we're going to meet the author right now. It is Cara Kagan. Cara, now here we go. Here's the credits. I got them all. Writer, musician, commercial copywriter, award-winning author, writing style and beauty for Women's Wear Daily. You created, which you mentioned to me a moment ago, Girl, the first multicultural and multi-sized fashion and beauty magazine for teens. You have been the beauty and fitness director for Elle magazine, right? I get that.
Yeah.
And currently, talk about the Bronx, you are the person who runs the KRVC Community Book Club. There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Gary.
Cara Kagan. Just before we get to the book, which I know you're very proud of and you should be, let's talk a little bit about you. What inspires you? You have so many things that you've done. Like, what is kind of like the thing that motivates you, that makes you really want to do all this stuff?
I think it's people. You meet exciting people, or you meet people who need your help, or you meet somebody who has a story to tell, or somebody who does something so great that it's inspiring. And then I like to get involved. I did love fashion and beauty, and that sort of and magazines when I was a kid. I loved all the magazines. And
you said did, so that means it's something a little bit in the past. Sorry, I'm listening very carefully at what you're saying.
Awesome. Well, there are no magazines anymore. And, the funniest thing about me in the fashion industry, so I always loved beauty, because to me it was the great equalizer. Everybody could wear lipstick, everybody could wear eyeshadow. And I've been short my whole life, which clothes are not really made for short girls. And I had bad feet, so I couldn't wear beautiful shoes. I didn't have a lot of money, so handbags, all that stuff. And somehow I ended up getting into magazines where all of that stuff mattered. And even though I was in beauty, which I loved and always felt comfortable and at home with, and I loved the science and the chemistry behind skincare, I was at these places that were looking at your bag and looking at your shoes, and I'm 98 pounds and they're telling me I'm fat, and it was just not the healthiest environment. So so
then you morphed and you moved toward doing more literature and books and your own writing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and commercial copywriting to pay the bills, because no one's looking you up and down in the halls when you're doing that. And
yeah, of course.
So
let's just talk about, before we get into the specifics of the rise and fall and return of Sarah Mandelbaum. Did you? Let's just get to the beginning. Did you say, I got this book in my head and I want to spit it out? But what I must ask you along with that, it's so detailed. There's so much personal stuff in there, from dialogue to the, an interaction with people on very personal matters and all that stuff. Is there something biographical in there? Oh, tell us the truth.
You're 100% accurate. Oh. I would say that it's 75% autobiographical, and a lot of the stuff that happens to Sarah happened to me. But the really interesting thing, Sarah's way cooler than I am. And
so you created a character you aspire to be.
Absolutely. And she's a way better musician than I am. But she sort of took on this life of her own once I started creating her. And she started to tell me what to do and where her life was progressing. And it wasn't always where mine led me. And I knew I was on the right track when I was in my writing workshop. And the class was debating if Sarah would say a certain thing. And I said, Sarah would absolutely say that, because I would, and Sarah's me. And this woman in my class said, oh no, Sarah's way cooler than you. And
I guess that's a backsided compliment there. Yeah, it's like you created something that's better than you. That's funny. Just out of curiosity, where was that workshop? That
oh, so I actually, so to backtrack for 1 second, when you asked me if I had this book in me that I wanted to get
yes,
out, I always thought I had really interesting experiences in this industry because I met a lot of famous people
right.
and everybody's a little crazy. But I never really thought about it. And then I started taking a creative writing workshop at Gotham in the city. And the teacher would give us, it was intro, and the teacher would give us prompts, write about your this, write about your that. And you would like scribble a couple paragraphs and read it out loud. So she said, write about a seminal moment in your life. And the last chapter of the book, Sarah has a run-in with two famous people at a restaurant on the Upper East Side. And she was with her best friend Penny. And
But by the way, this is what I meant about intricacy and detail, because the entire thing speaks to exactly what the conversations were in an incredibly detailed way that you don't often get from, good fiction, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
thank you. No, thank you so much. So this whole exchange happens between Sarah, Penny, and these famous people in the restaurant. And that happened to me.
Wow.
when I was in my 30s. And I was with a friend, Penny, who's not exactly the Penny in the book. And I just named her Penny the pastry chef, which I loved the alliteration.
Yes.
And so the people in my writing class loved it. They said, oh, the dynamic between Sarah and Penny, it's so witty, it's really fun. And initially I thought I'd write like Sex in the City, which is written in little vignettes. It's not a full novel.
Okay.
And then as I started showing the class my vignettes, reading them out loud, they said, oh, no, this is a novel, Sarah. And I named her Sarah Mandelbaum because my maiden name was Applebaum, and it was Cara Applebaum, Sarah Mandelbaum.
Okay.
And, and then the writing class, I did a couple more classes at Gotham, and then I went on to Catapult in the city, which, like that writing workshop, I think I finished my book in that writing workshop.
So how many years was this work in play? It sounds like it wasn't like you just sat down and did it. It sounds like you were gestating this thing for a very long time. Or do I have that wrong?
If I take care of 4 aging parents, and there were times when I was writing the book, all 4 of them were in different hospitals at the same time. And I think, all things being equal, I would have written it in under a year. And then you have the shopping around process, how to get an agent, do you get a publishing company?
Of course.
And that's a lengthy process.
That's considerable.
Yeah.
But let's just get back to the writing of it. Did you make yourself write every day? Did you wake up in the middle of the night and said, "Oh, I got it. This is how this scene is going to go"? Did you sit down and I think there was an old episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show where he left to write a book, and he went and secluded himself somewhere. Just curious. I'm always curious about the process to put something as comprehensive as this together.
I do not write every day. I get chastised by writers who say, "Whoa, you got to write every day."
That's why I asked.
So what I tend to do is so the way I write is I hear dialogue in my head, and I think about the ways I want my people to interact, and snippets like I invent something that I think is witty or funny, which I hope it is, or poignant. And then I build a scene around that so I can use that dialogue. It's the exact opposite of how most people write.
A lot of people write. Do you, because you're telling a story here, and even the title implies a chronological progression. Did you write pieces chronologically, or did you say, "Oh, I got the idea for this part of it"? Did you sketch out the entire plot, or was it just organic? Okay, we started here, now I'm here, and now I'm here, and you moved it ahead.
So the way I write is when I hear snippets of dialogue in my head, I just put them on my phone. I just write them out, and I save them, because Sarah really at a certain point told me exactly what she was doing and where she was going. So it became quite linear. And then I would look at the dialogue that I had written down and think, gee, where can I put that? Where is that going to go?
Well, that's interesting.
And so I didn't map it out. I didn't have an outline.
Really?
Until one of my writing teachers said, you got to have an outline. So I'd written 2/3 of the book before I went and put it in outline form.
So what do you want to say to people who are hearing this interview and say, gee, what do I get out of it? Like for you, what is like the intent here, the general intent to portray?
I think it's about pursuing your dreams in the face of a lot of adversity. And I think we all sort of had these dreams that we don't necessarily pursue. And this is about conquering all the voices in your head that tell you not to go for your dream. And
that's fair. That's nice. And it fits in even what you said about the creation of the book, because you said you had people in the hospital at the time. And my reaction, I didn't get to say it then. That's life. We are all, I mean, we're all dealing with stuff like that. Last question. And again, available wherever books are sold. Amazon, right? That's where
Amazon. It's online. It's not
online. Oh, it's online. Okay. Are you happy with it, or are you one of those that is never satisfied and you say, that segment, I should have written that better? I know for myself, things that I put out, sometimes even TV shows, I say, I didn't quite nail that. Your thoughts?
So I totally don't want to sound arrogant, but I love this book.
Yay! I'm so happy. It doesn't sound arrogant. Then you put out the product that you wanted to put out. That's wonderful. So it is The Rise and Fall and Return of Sarah Mandelbaum. You can look for it. And your website is that's what we do?
That's carakagan.com, and it's on Amazon.
Cara, CARAKAGAN.com. Okay. And you can find it.
BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com, and in Kindle and paperback.
And check out KRVC, join the book club, because Cara will be there. You can continue this interview with her person.
Absolutely. And volunteer.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
We need your help for the holidays.
Cara, thanks for being a great Bronxite and a talented person. And let's all learn, and I will finish the book. Let's all learn more about Sarah Mandelbaum.
Thanks so much, Gary. I so appreciate
it. Great. Okay, that will do it for the Bronx Buzz. We thank Jonathan from the city for joining us. And guess what? The curtain don't fall and the creek don't rise. We'll see you next week.